Hart, like, you know, like Dave Chappelle. Like, I mean, these are like elements of culture that like we aren't bound to anymore, and we don't have to prove our blackness by like speaking a certain way anymore.
What's up, peoples? It's your bartenders, Mr. Z.
And your boy, Omega.
Sit down, pour a glass of all your favorite drinks, as we give you our first ever Jungle Juice episode, where we get to pick one listener or guest and revisit a few of our previous topics, while sprinkling in a bit of a new one. We're rejoined by fellow king Aron Carr to revisit a few much-needed topics, as well as discussing code switching. As every episode, we want to thank all of you for listening. We truly appreciate you listening to our hearts and minds on varied and difficult topics.
Special thank you goes out to our Patreon subscribers for their support of the show. Every little bit helps us reach our goals to invite more high-profile guests and create bonus content.
And don't forget, a special highlight and thank you to our newest patron, Gloria Schoenfeld. Patrons, be on the lookout for our next bonus episode, Woke, coming this month. And if you want to join in our conversation outside of this cast, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at HaveADrinkCast, and make sure to use that hashtag, HADcast.
Remember, this is always a conversation. If you don't agree, you want to voice your opinions, or even suggest a topic for an episode, feel free to join our Discord as well. The link will be in the description.
And please, if you like what we're doing here, share us with your friends, your family, your neighbors, or get a couple friends involved and make some paper maches of us to leave around town. Your referrals mean a lot to us, as that's how we gain more listeners. So,
thank you again.
And get prepared to sit,
think,
and have a drink.
Welcome to Have a Drink Podcast. Enjoy the episode.
We said peace. What's up, peoples, and welcome back to another episode of the Have a Drink Podcast, where we invite you to sit, think, and have a drink. We're your bartenders, Mr. Z.
And your boy, Omega.
Thank you, thank you. Joining us at the bar today, as always, we have our brother Richard. And joining us again is our brother Aron Carr. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Today, you know, like this is a cocktail conversation, because there's going to be a mixture of things that we're going to flow into that we've already talked about. Everything from you know, how our fathers influence us, the feelings surrounding loss, the loss of leaders within our community,
leaders of our households,
alongside a bit of a new conversation surrounding code switching, or what people say is sounding black or sounding white, or however they want to phrase it. So it may sound abrupt the way this next bit flows, but just bear with us.
Highlight of the day, because I had a shitty morning.
Sorry to hear that, bro.
Lord have mercy to have a shitty morning.
What happened?
Want to elaborate on that? What's good, man?
That's fine. I can talk about it.
Yeah.
So today is 17 years of my father's passing. Today is 17 years. So this day is usually really ominous anyways. But I got woken up at 2 a.m. this morning from a phone call. I was like, what the hell? I heard something, but I didn't know what it was, and I was really sleeping. And I woke up, answered my phone. It was my oldest brother. And he was like, yo, I'm just calling to let you know I'm going into the ER. He's like, what? What's going on? And he's like, my blood pressure is really high, and they told me I got to go. So I'm waiting for the paramedics to come and get me. All right, well, I was like, well, just keep me in the loop. Let me know what's going on. Okay. Go back to sleep. 7:30 this morning, as I'm getting up to get ready to go to the gym, go work out, my brother messaged me, I'm home. I'm like, all right, cool. Working out with my younger brother, lifting. I get a phone call from my mom. I'm like, damn, man, let me just get this workout in. Hangs up, calls back again. I'm like, all right, let me answer. My mom, I'm in the ER. I'm in the emergency right now. I went in yesterday, and she's like, they said I had a mini stroke. and they did CT scans and everything, and found out that I had from many strokes. I've been having several mini strokes. I'm like, okay. All of this happened before 9 o'clock this morning. So I finished my workout. I'm like, there's nothing I can do. There's literally nothing I can do. I can't go there. Can't do anything. Go to work, but on my way to work, I had to get gas, and I was thinking about how rough this day is. And then I almost cried when I got to the gas station because I started thinking about my friend Matt. And that's when I posted the video because I wanted to talk to him, but I knew he was working. If y'all don't know, I'll just go ahead and kind of recap the video I talked about. So I pretty much told the story of the night my dad was passing. And so what happened was that night, I was out with a friend of mine, and we were staying at her place, and I actually turned my phone off. I never do that. And so something told me in the middle of the night, turn your phone on. So I did. Got mad messages, hella messages. I was like, okay, what's going on? My brother was like, get home now. Dad's not going to make it through the night. Okay. Well, I wasn't driving. Didn't have a car. So I was calling people, trying to get a ride. Nobody would answer. Nobody was there. My boy Matt answered his phone, and he was clearly at a party. I could hear it. He was like, yo, what's up, man? I'm at this party. Hella drunk right now. What's good? I'm like, yo, my dad's about to die. I need a ride. He's like, oh, man, I would drive, but I'm hella drunk. He's like, hold on, just let me call you right back. Within minutes, he calls me back, and he's like, yo, send me the address. I'm on my way. He gets there, picks me up, gets me to my dad's house. What he did was he had gotten one of his other friends to drive. And he went out of his way to come and pick me up and take me to see my father. My father made it through the night, but passed September 21st, I think it's 10:15 a.m. And I was there with him. And it's all because my friend answered his phone and thought more about his friends and was there for me when I needed him most, when I needed somebody most. And he was the one that answered, and he's the one that took me. And so I wanted to give him his flowers, not just personally to him, but I wanted to tell the world, to let everybody know, like, sometimes you just need to answer. You just need to answer. You need to be present. You need to be there. You never know. Your friends may need you. Somebody may need you. So you need to answer. And I wanted to tell him how much I appreciated him, how much I love him, and just let him know, like, I was thinking about him and that he's a great man. And no matter what, I'll always be here for him. So that was that video today. And then we talked a little while ago, actually. He was texting me, and he was like, bro, you really trying to make me cry today? I was like, no, it's just the truth, man. I was like, I was fighting back tears before I made the video and during the video. He's like, whoa, I'm going through a lot mentally, depressed over the last 6 months because of work. I really should be more positive. I didn't know you remembered all these years, man. I'm seriously at a loss for words. And I had to tell him, I was like, bro, I'll never forget. That was truly a clutch moment. And then I asked him about, what's going on with work, because I put us as men, husbands, fathers, are always going through something mentally as well as emotionally. So I want you to know that you're not alone, nor do you need to deal with this one on your own. I am here for you always. How can I help you, brother? So that was the kind of thing today. It was look past my pain and be of service to somebody else. And that's just been on my mind and my heart for the last few days. Because sometimes it's more than just you crying, but thinking there's a reason why this is brought to you. Now, see what you can do with it. And that's why I refuse to be sad today. I'm going to do something with my time. So that's why I'm giving flowers. I'm waiting for my mom to call me and let me know if I got to go pick her up. I'm just going to go. My boy, I'm telling him, I'm here. And hopefully my story could reach out and touch people and inspire those. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
That was my day.
On that note, thank you for like sharing that with us, and I'm sorry to hear, the extraneous circumstances that your brother and your mother both find themselves in. Goes without saying, but like keep your phone on. Like if you need to hop out, if we need to end it, we got you.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, they're right here. My brother's at home. He's watching the Raiders game. He's probably going to have a heart attack tonight if they lose. Or he may have a heart attack if they win. But you'll be all right.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, though, family. And, I needed to do this. needed to do this. Regardless of, I needed to do this. Fellowship is important. Being with my friends, being with my brothers is really important.
Absolutely.
You know, talking with it over with my wife was good. Sometimes you're not looking for solutions. You
Just looking.
Just looking.
Just out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us, Chief.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer today, so please.
That wasn't down.
Nah, brother.
That made me think, you know, like I've done that and given flowers, and you know, to know that you know, people will receive it how you felt it in a way, you know, sometimes they'll think about it in those times where they need that support, they need that reminder that they're valuable, and that, you know, that the moves that they made have touched people in a real way, you know, just like they've been touched, you know. So yeah, no, that's real, and that's good to hear, you know. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, I've been waiting to exhale all day.
Yeah.
You got to put a noise to that pain, you know, when you pull out those arrows, you know, you gotta put a sound to it, you know, let it out.
That's beautiful, man. I've never heard that, but it makes all the sense in the world.
Well, man, dude, so I mean, us as men, like, and people really, but you take small arrows, you know, especially, you know, man, you keep going, you don't talk about it, you know, you got arrows in your back that you're holding on to, and then a lot of times you don't know how to express it when it's too many, you know, like but when you pull those out, man, you gotta just put a sound to it sometimes, and that helps get through it, you know. The Warriors have to keep moving, you know.
That's true. What I'm feeling is the importance of the father. Not just the father, but also the importance of knowing what it is to be a man in certain situations and in most situations, you know. And I was not talking about masculinity or toxic masculinity, none of that. I'm talking about just standing up and being your own man and making the hard choice and making the hard decisions, whether they're right, whether they're wrong, whether they're accepted or not. You know, that's the craziest thing, is because that's what I learned the most with the passing of my father, is what it is to become a man and how to step up and be that man. And also not knowing what men go through in their absence. You know, as for me specifically, it's like I harbored some hard feelings with my father, because, you know, there were things that I wanted that I wasn't getting. And so, you know, as any child, you know, you're like, well, I want this. I need this. Give me this. But I don't know what he's going through or what he's dealing with just to give me what he gave me, what he was able to give me. Whether it was the shirts on my back, the food in my belly, or even just the time that he could spend with me. I don't know what he went through just to be able to do that. And that's the things that we don't really think about. We think about the material, but we don't think about just what they go through just to give us the time, if they're even able to do that.
Well, I agree that type of mentality, or that approach to your relationship with your father, even if he wasn't present, even if he wasn't, like you said, you know, the certain father you wanted to be at, certain times he gave you that lesson as what not to be, you know, like if he wasn't present, you know what you need to do for your son. You know what it feels like to not have a man in your life. You also might grow to understand what it's like to be the father that can't quite get to his son if he's trying to, you know, or if there's sometimes there's a woman in the way. Sometimes there's like you said, like whatever you're going through, that's in the way of you being the ideal father, you know, just like you being the ideal man, you know. I think that context gives you the ability to forgive, you know, what you didn't get, appreciate what you did get, and make the best, you know, of what you can give as, you know, the next man in that line, you know. So yeah, no, I appreciate that perspective because it's one that has helped me like come to terms with my relationship, or I wouldn't say lack thereof. I know who my father is, and we've had quite a few conversations and stay with him, but he hasn't been that man that like I've needed. Other men have stepped up, in the times where I needed that type of guidance, and I appreciate those men and their strength of being able to lend it to me when they didn't have to. Um, but like I said, it just I was saying earlier, it just really gives you kind of a perspective on how not to be, how it and how to move forward with your own relationship. If you just give it a look over, and not with anger, or with like resentment, just like, so you try to really understand that um he's just a man, just a
Yeah.
man. You are, like uh he's had some triumphs, some victories, some failures, and unfortunately, like uh there are a lot of fathers in our community that when they do marginally better, they pat themselves on the back, and yes, that is good. That's better than what your father gave you. But we need more. We need at least more men. I wouldn't say that every father out there, Z, you need to step up, bro. Like, what you doing? You're not taking enough care. Whatever that means. But they're just in our community. That stereotype's a nasty one, but it really does speak to a lot of like our values, our familiar values, and how we just need to reinvest in them more. So that's me. That's my piece. I'll go.
No, I feel it, brother. Like making sure that you have your own foundation that you're creating. Because yeah, that sort of thing is important. Once that father is absent within the kid's life, they have all this baggage that comes along with it, and then they grow up and try to be dads, and it's like you can either take one or two roads, where you could either become exactly like your father and do what he did, perpetuating the patterns, or the person could grow, and right along the lines with what you said, Aaron, like creating those new morals, those new values,
New family values.
new family values. Yeah, absolutely.
Richard, jump in, please.
Not much to say, gentlemen. Nothing against you, Aaron, but I got my tears out last week with Omega and Z, and this topic is still very touchy to me. And I don't know if you know, but my father passed away in December, and I'm still dealing with it. I told him last week I kind of see myself regressing. Heading to Houston Wednesday, and I'm gonna get back up with the grief counselor. If I can add anything, still dealing with it. It's still tough. So if I'm kind of standoffish this episode, gentlemen, please don't take offense to it. Please don't think I'm just nonchalant. It's challenging. Best thing I can say, Aaron, not piggybacking, but commending you on like what you said. It's just like I didn't have certain things, so like I know what not to do. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm just doing now, and that's what I'm doing to take forward. I get it. It's tough being a black man. I can't speak on this, but from what I've talked to people and read, it's tough being a father as well. And I get that. But I do believe the least anybody can do is try.
Right.
And
What?
that's something. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chief.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
As like somebody who has had a contentious relationship with my father, in some ways, I see myself in him. My family is in him. He's a part of me, you know, and uh, what forgiven his failures um uh has helped me, you know, just like have a whole new context on what type of relationship I could have with like that man, you know, like um it's you know, giving him understanding isn't for him, you know, it's helping me relinquish the resentment I've had regarding our relationship and his and whatever he's done to what I feel, you know, to perpetuate that or to like not invest in it as much as I would like him to, you know. Uh, you I I needed that for me, you know. It wasn't to let him off the hook. Really, it's not. Like if I were like telling him that, yo, you taught me how not like how to be like a better dad. Like your failures like have given me a perspective that like I never want to give another young man, you know. And if he was really hearing me out, that would hurt him, you know. But it's not to hurt him, you know. It's to release him and to release me from that type of relationship, that contentiousness, you know. Like I can, if I want a new relationship with him, I can have it. And the relationship like that we had like as I grew up is dead, you know. That relationship's over. I'm my own man today, and like part of the man I am is through his influence or lack thereof, you know, whatever that means. And I'm proud of that man. So he can get a thanks too, you know, if it makes him feel better, because it sure as hell doesn't hurt me anymore. And that's like how the energy like that's helped me like move through that. And like, not to tell you that's where you need to be at, brother, or like what you need to be on, or what your relationship is with your dad, but like just releasing that, like that feeling has helped me move on and you know, foster relationships with other men that, you know, can teach me things, you know. And I don't have to be like, you ain't my daddy, you know, like man. It's like, hey man, you're another man that has that those qualities that I aspire to, you know, embody. And I can look to you like you know, like a father figure, and still be my own man, you know, still know who Maurice Carr is, my father, you know, like, and all of that. Like when I in me, I don't have any um uh contention. There's no like these facets of who I am and where I got it from aren't fighting within myself, you know. Like it's all part of me, and it's all good. So
Well put. I was gonna say it's interesting that we brought this topic up today. The necessity of this conversation is probably bigger than we realize, because I mean, Richard, you said something that I can completely relate to and resonate with. Um, the feeling of regressing, um, especially with however something is handled. I feel personally like I've been regressing lately. You know how when we were starting this podcast, you know, like everything was going, the balls were rolling, everything's happening. The way in which I felt like I was regressing was, you know, that I felt like I was letting my doubt take over me. I was letting that dark side, whatever it was, that pain, that those feelings take over me. Where in actuality, my my subconscious, my everything is trying to surface the things that still need to be worked on and open them again in order to properly heal them. And I realized that right after Chadwick's death, um, because it brought up my feelings surrounding my mom, you know. And that set everything else in motion to like, all right, Now that you have this Pandora's box open and you're ready to heal that one thing, let's heal the next thing. And then let's heal the next thing. And like, I'm having dreams about old relationships. I'm like, really? Why am I still hung up on that stuff? I thought I dealt with that a long time ago. Because I didn't, because it didn't heal properly. So now those wounds are reopening. And so what feels like for me personally as regression, I'm even today just kind of realizing this, it's myself trying to prep the foundation for the new me that's going to be built on top of it, you know. Because like the necessity of even just talking about it, like there has been a lot of things that I've come like that has come to a head with like a lot of old wounds that I'm just like, wow, I didn't know that was still a thing. That like I'm kind of expecting the next thing to pop up and to like really hit home, where I'll just wake up the next morning and just be like, fuck. Like I'm seeing that situation from a completely different side. I'm seeing, my reaction to it, my feelings surrounding it is something so much deeper. Yeah, it just all that to say again, like what I felt like was my regression was really just my powering forward in order to heal properly.
Now we touched on quite a few things, and I'm going to say two things real quick. Number one, thank you, Aaron, for talking about releasing, because releasing is one of the hardest things to do, and it takes a lot of time, and it's something that's just going to click one day. And I say that from experience only because it took me years to release some of the feelings that I had, and I'm still releasing some things, and it's coming through processing other things. Even speaking on like with Chadwick, how you said that, like with his passing, the way he passed, the picture I seen of him when he was really like skinny, it threw me back because that's how my father passed from colon cancer. So to see that photo of him instantaneously took me back. Like immediately, I seen his face, I seen my father. To see your Black Panther wither and die was one of the hardest things to watch happen in front of your eyes. And I say that because how we were going to talk about code switching, right? And changing the way we talk. We do that fast. Why? Because it's a survival trait in my eyes. I find it to be a survival trait. Well, that's exactly what happened when my father passed away. I changed that fast, and I went into, I have to be a father. I have to be a leader. I have to be the man to step up and take charge and handle things and be okay. So I almost feel like we are naturally taught to switch.
Right. And kind of not to take the spotlight from you, but really
No, please.
that idea really does lend itself, like Chadwick dying. I mean, before Chadwick, I was, thinking, oh, I want to work in politics um, and to work in that type of field, or to, work as a professional. Like, I have to act a certain way. I have to have a certain type of education, and my hair has to look a certain way. And it sure as hell it shouldn't look like, like some dreadhead, like Bay Area, person. And I hadn't like identified that as that internal racism, that internalized racism, that fear that that judgment that I had on myself for, wanting to maybe even explore that hairstyle, or like to explore my like my Afro heritage, to celebrate that like openly. You know, like not just like Kwanzaa, like, oh, I celebrate Kwanzaa, like, you know, just not
I don't. I'm sorry. I don't.
huh?
I don't celebrate Kwanzaa. I ain't gonna sit there
Right.
and lie to you. I ain't never done it in my life.
Just all those airs to put on yourself that like you know just to seem black, you know, like, or to be able to enjoy like being like black, you know, like, you know, it's a whole bunch of white people who can do all types of stuff with their hair and like not have a stereotype or a prejudice put upon them. But I felt like I knew that, you know, my name's Aaron, Aron, and my sister's name is Taylor, because they're androgynous, non-ethnic names that, like, my mom, who's like a human resources director, manager, like, would think like these people like you can't, you know, look at these names and say they're LaShonda. Oh no, next. You know, like she knew about that. So like that was what she experienced. So she didn't want us to go through that, simply because our names were you know, celebrating that Afro heritage. And
I'm sorry, Z.
Boy, howdy.
right. And just like, yeah, and that was internalized racism by her, you know, like, and just like that having to survive, you need a job, like you like, so your name needs to be like this, you know, like we like to celebrate like our heritage, but like really we need to get you to 21, we need you to, you know, like get, so having that movie come out and having the world celebrate that, like my hair, bro, like we were out here. I could see that. I could see everybody accept these men and this story and this reality and say that they wanted to be a part of it, and that I, like, as somebody who is naturally, like, you know, there, like I can celebrate this, you know, like he made me proud to celebrate it, and to lose him and to know that he was like struggling like that, and to think like how a lot of times the greatest men in our communities and in our history have always had to die to show their humanity. It's always like broken me down, you know, that like if I wanted to be like Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, the only way that people would see, like the world would see that I was a good man, is to die like a dog. So to see him standing and proud and strong, and everybody was like, that's my king. It was a proud moment for all of us, and I was very sad, very sad that he passed.
100%.
Sorry,
And no, don't be sorry, brother. That's you are echoing the feelings of the world right now. Believe it or not. And you have spoken the same words that so many men before you have said. Why do all our greats die young or get taken from us? You know how everybody's talking about, well, where's your black representation? Where's your black leaders? You guys have no black leaders. Well, I do remember somebody saying the reason why we don't have any quote unquote black leaders is because every time we have one, you kill them. We're tired of seeing the killing. And that's what's going on, is they always die young. And they leave us because they leave such a mark that they must transcend time and space now. They're beyond this physical realm.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. It's crazy to me because I think about it, and they all do. They all do. But we don't know what they went through to get where they are. We don't know what they go through while they were where they were. And I say all that because I tie it back to my dad still. There was such a facade that my dad would put up for everybody to see. And then there was the real part of him. The parts that we don't see, the parts that we don't know, the parts that we could never really get unless we talk to him. You know, like for me, it's no secret. My dad has 9 kids, you know, 8 biologically his and 1 stepson, right? And the crazy things is that came from 3 different women. And the reason why I say that is because that's 3 different sides of him that had to be seen. And none of the kids got all of him the way that they wanted him. Well, none of the older kids, the first couple sets. So myself, my siblings that were older than me, we didn't get the him that my younger siblings got, you know. And that's hard because it's like you see that and you wonder what would it have been like if that was me. What would it have been like if I would have had the leadership that I always wanted, or the type of dad that I always wanted? What would that be like? It's the same way as we as a community are looking like, well, what would our community be like if we had our leaders that could actually take charge and show us the way? What would it be like if we really had those ones that were, what would it be like if Dr. King was still alive? What would it be like if Malcolm X was still here? What would it be like if, you know, shoot, who else? I mean, there's so many, you know, what would it be like? That's the same thing that happens at home. What would it be like? What would it be like? That's my question. What do you think it would be like if our leaders were still here? Whether it was in your home or in the community, what would it be like? Do you think we would still have the code switch the way we do?
I mean, I guess
there's a lot there.
There is a lot there. I guess pertaining to your question, you mentioned code switching. Should define it. So to define code switching, it would be the practice of altering between 2 or more languages or varieties of language in conversation. Depending on
dialects, or if we're calling ebonics, or like
right,
like ethnically,
right, you know,
colloquially,
yeah.
Good word.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, niggas know words out here.
We got an education.
We got vocabularies. I got a motherfucking vernacular, nigga. What's up?
Nigga, I own a thesaurus. What about that? To answer your question, about, you know, like what do I feel like it would be like if our leaders were still around today? If Martin Luther King, if Malcolm X, if all of our leaders in our communities were still around today. I was having this conversation with somebody, and one of the conclusions we came to is we felt like it wouldn't be the same impact. You know?
As in they wouldn't have the same impact?
Yes, I don't feel like they would have the same impact. I feel like with their popularity, with their drive, with their support, that's the word I'm looking for, with their support behind them, yes, they'll still be as big as they were, but that next step that happened after the assassination of Martin Luther King, you know, the next step after the assassination of Malcolm X, yeah, things were put into the bills were written and things were put into place to be voted on, but would they have voted that way if, you know, Martin Luther King was alive during that time and there wasn't this uprest and upset about his death? You know, because I know they had written the bill and they had put it through Congress and everything while he was still alive, but he was assassinated before everything was finalized.
So they didn't like him when he was alive, but they loved him in death.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong on that bit of information, but from what I remember, and like the impact, it's the downside of that is like, is there a relation between somebody's early demise and their impact on the world?
Well, yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I think that's obvious that a lot of times we want, peaceful protests, but most of the change that we've ever experienced or that's ever been meaningful to us as a culture has come through violence, come immediately following violence, or been inspired because of violence. So it's kind of hard to get away from that. Personally, I think it's like, well, that's kind of like a Marvel like time situation. There's like certain types of situations that you take into consideration. If he was alive this whole time, how would our culture have evolved differently? If he had been a cultural figure as opposed to like a martyr,
Right, we'd have different guidance.
right? Well, yeah, or if both of them had been alive, Malcolm and Martin, and at the end, Malcolm hadn't found a common ground between him and Martin, in that they both were at a point where violent protest wasn't the answer. Would we have factions like within our own culture? Like would we have like a cultural division? Or a split? That's kind of like unknown. We can't know what would have happened if they had been alive this whole time. But I do believe that our culture would be in a different place. It might be a bit. It might be cosmified. Like it might be cosmified. Like there's a lot of parts of our culture now that are a lot more raw and exciting in nature, that I think would have been changed by having a religious father figure like him leading us, and the culture in general. I point to like I said, somebody like Cosby, who was a leader and a father figure for a culture, and showed us how to be and what to, in some ways, to aspire to. And a lot of times that did mean, in some ways, code switching. It did mean assimilating and not being brash, not being bold, not not speaking out the side of your mouth and shit like that, like or saying or using curse words, like the things that are, smoking weed, like like, not to say that those are quintessential to our culture, but they like if you look at hip hop culture and culture that it excites people. It's there are elements that have come from the damnation of Black culture, vilifying drug use, vilifying sexual content or explicit content, all that stuff, vilifying gang culture, and having like a hard on for mafia culture, like what the fuck, like you see how they treat those differently. People love mafia, everybody love Godfather, but don't nobody want to free Tookie Williams, like these things like aren't like equitable. So would our culture be different? I think so. But there's that. I think lamenting a culture that we don't have devalues the culture that we have created, that has risen to its prominence and is dominant in the world. So I don't know that we would like, just so I've been going on, but I don't know that it would be different. Well, I know I don't know that it would be better, but I do know that it would be different. And I thanks Dr. King for for your contributions. That's all I can say. That's all I got to end that with.
Beautiful answer. R- Richard, don't feel like you have to jump in, but
You said something basically how, just from what I gathered, how, mob and mafia culture is like, respected and just looked into high nature. You know what I'm saying? But it's not the same towards us. I don't know if you gentlemen ever had a chance to watch it. There's a show on Netflix, Killer Mike has, called Trigger Warning. So the episode of Trigger Warning where they sit these guys down, basically, in so many words, I just cut to the chase. Killer Mike approached some Crips and Bloods and basically like gave them the game on like how to make their own soda. Right?
Coca-Cola.
Cripicola, thank you. I can't remember what the other one was called. But and so he did a focus group where he like sat down a bunch of like white guys and they talked about soda, but also was just like, what do you think about these gangs? And so he was naming off gangs, specifically the Hells Angels, right? Bike gang, I want to say started out here in Oakland. Bike gang started out in Oakland. Now they're like incorporated, but like you can look it up. Like may or may not have done some terrible things. You know what I'm saying? But they're like praised. They even had like memorabilia sold in Walmart. But the negative view of the Crips and Bloods, when really the history, it started out as just like protection. You know what I'm saying? It was just like literally protecting that community. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, white people understand that. They do.
100%.
When the Kenosha, whatever the fuck, like shooter, they're like, oh, like a hero, and he's protecting like his neighborhood, and they understand that. But when they come and attack our neighborhoods, and attack our leaders, and like our bastions and our financial institutions, and that's when they don't understand. Like it's the violence and the protests are unacceptable, and yeah, so they get it. It's just evil when they start using like incorrect or the wrong video, like misleading videos, when they start lying about the rhetoric, they know that they're wrong. They know that they're evil, and that's all that there is to. When they have to lie about it, when they have to be deceitful, when they have to like manipulate, that's
the greatest villains of all believe that they are doing the right thing.
Right. But these people know they're not. They're doing a thing for them that's best for them. But these, I can't imagine that these people think that they're doing the right thing. You can't.
How could you not though? How could you not? Yeah, they can. They do it all the time. They do it all the time. Even if we present it straight to their face, they'll be like, no, it's not. It's like liar, liar. The color of the pen is royal blue. Like,
well, that's you calling like the Trump administration like a good villain. And like, I don't think that they are. I don't think that they're smart. I don't think that they're compelling. I don't think that they're effective. Like, because like hate is effective, but
I don't necessarily feel like they're a good villain, and I'm not talking about intelligence, but the route of a like the soul of a villain. If we're taking it in like comic book context, like they believe with all of their heart that they're doing the right thing. Let's take Lex Luthor, for example. He believes Superman is the enemy. He believes Superman is the bad guy in this situation, that he's doing all the right things for humanity. Whereas these people believe they're doing the right thing. Obviously, some of them know they're not doing the right thing. Like, yeah, but like where you hear what they say. Like if you watch, I don't know if you've watched the Republican National Convention when it was going, but like with it being on, listening to what they're saying, they're using fear just like the DNC is in order to, control the constituents. But beyond that, the way they're approaching it is like we're in the right. We're doing the right thing here, and it's for our protection. It's for these just causes. It's for humanity. It's for the soul of our nation.
And like that literally can be taken by either side. It's for the soul of our nation. So it's like, you know, like I believe to an extent they believe that they're doing the right thing. Not necessarily that they're like intelligent villains or that they're you know, doing it like big, but they're fucking effective. Like with the shit that they're doing, you know, and the support that they're garnering behind them. Because
they mean well in their own beliefs. So they believe on their own side that they mean well, even if they have the wrong methods of going about it.
Right.
So like I heard, and I don't think that they mean well.
I love that.
Like if you talk about like you get down to
not to us,
but what they'll say things like, I don't believe everybody should have health care. And it's like, well, we can afford it though. But it's like, I don't believe everybody has the right to live. And like, you can't, when you get down to the brass tacks, you can't change like somebody who's empathetic into somebody who is not. I mean, to somebody who is not empathetic into somebody who is. And if we are to like establish that people who are more empathetic are doing what they're doing for other people, and people who are less empathetic are doing what they're doing because like they believe that the good that they're doing is for them, that's not good. That's not what we would consider good. Like if that person was in a Disney movie, they wouldn't be the protagonist. That's for damn sure. You know. You couldn't be the protagonist telling us that the brown Loraxes over there don't belong. You know, the difference is that they are willing to do things that aren't right for the good that they want. That is the difference between Republicans and, well, I would say conservatives. Well, I'm gonna label the conservatives and Democrats for the most part. Is that Democrats are smart enough to understand that typically, like doing what's best for most people is also what's good for me, and and seeming nice to most people is what's going to be best for me living in a society like this. But there are people out there that don't give a fuck about any of that and don't give a fuck about you. And that's fine for them. That's moral. Like not caring about you, not worrying about you, is moral to them. But that's not really a moral way to act, okay? And I don't want to confuse like me thinking I'm doing something right or good for myself with me doing something right and that is good, period. I think the two are separate, and like I think the people that lie about those types of things and lie about their rhetoric understand that. And
I can agree with that.
It's like people who do good because they understand that like other people like people who do good, you know. I want to save this like chick from this car accident or this fire because she might give me a date afterwards, not because I'm the nicest nigga in the motherfucking world. Like you know, like, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like people do good things, but they also have an index for what they're doing. Not everybody is moving in altruistic ways like a hero because it's the right thing to do. Usually it's because it's the right thing for them to do.
Will I get a date once I pull you out of this burning car? Will you go out? If I pull you out this car and you don't go out with me, I'm gonna put your ass back.
If I pull you out this car and somebody don't give me no motherfucking recognition, there's no justice in the world. And that's straight up, that's how a nigga feel. And the dudes that be like, I'm not a hero. They, you know, damn well they said that because that's what every hero that's ever been a hero said, and they got the humble points for it. Nigga, you ain't slick. Like we know the game. Like so I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with good people who realize that doing good is good, so they do it. Good. Whatever you get after doing good is for you. I'm fine with that, but like I don't think that people move altruistically without an index for how that plays socially, and I don't think that people move in a fucked up way like conservatives be doing without how that plays socially. Like I'd have to believe that they live in a completely different reality and a completely different sect of understanding, and that's not the case. We're just fucked up. We're just evil people.
Just fucked up people.
Nah, I was gonna say, like, first of all, Aaron, I applaud you. I'm having a great time listening to you. I'm just gonna say that right now. Just gonna say that right now.
Yeah, you all the time, but you can say it and it can get old.
Another way I look at things too, especially in regards to everything that's going on right now, is we all have a different outlook on things due to the regions of where we come from. Black people in California and the Bay Area do not think anywhere near close to the black people of the South. Just like the black people of the South don't think anywhere near close to the black people on the East Coast.
Yeah, you're getting that West Coast style, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, and then that East Coast is not the same as the Midwest. Nah, but you're right though. You're right, and that's the thing though. It's like, so all of our experiences are so vastly different, with little glimpses of similarities. Vastly different with little glimpses of similarities. So like, for me personally, I don't even get down with the Democrat conservative thing. Like
Republican thing?
Yeah, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, I don't get down with any of it. And I'm going to tell you why. I grew up in the church on the West Coast, and that's a very conservative thought process, a very conservative lifestyle, But to an extent, I see the glimpses of liberalism, the little liberal thought processes and the ways of doing things. And that let me know, like, it's two different wings on the same bird. It's just all about where you came from in order to get it and understand where that bird landed. And that's the crazy part. So the conservatives that have the microphone are from the South and the Southeast.
Wait, no, sorry. There we go.
Hey, it's about that time. What time is it?
Black business time.
Yeah, black-owned business. Actually, this is actually a black-owned beverage. I wanted to highlight.
Say what?
Yeah, right. This one belongs to a distillery. This distillery is called Shadow Ridge Spirits Company. They are a black-owned distillery that creates and crafts their own whiskeys and other spirits. Yes. I found them. They're located in Oceanside, California.
Not far.
Yeah, not far. They're actually a veteran-owned artisanal small batch craft spirits distillery or distiller. Like I said before, they're a veteran-owned company. They're private labels specializing in ultra small batch grain to glass handcrafted spirits. They're distilled with premium ingredients and produced for those who appreciate quality spirits. Actually, like even just like scrolling through their website. So yeah, if you take a look at it, they have some beautiful labels. You can see they have like single malt whiskeys, dark rum. They can even do other specialty products, which is pretty cool. They're on Instagram under SR Distilled. And you'll see it'll have a picture of their label, Shadow Ridge, bloop, as I put it up on screen. Thank you, editor me.
All we got to do is ask. Wow, they have a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They have a single malt whiskey. They have a rye whiskey, bourbon whiskey, American single malt whiskey, dark rum, light rum. It sounds like we're about to take a trip down there and show them how we come.
I was thinking about that. I think it'd be a fun little road trip to go check out Oceanside.
Hey, Richard, you down?
I'm down for a trip. I'm always down for a trip.
Hey.
Yeah.
I have no
So
idea where Oceanside is, but I'm down.
Down
Oceanside,
south.
be on the lookout. We'll be taking a trip out there.
Oceanside's in Southern California, down by San Diego.
They even give you directions on how to get there. Oceanside, California. I'm pretty sure if you talk to them, they'll customize and ship you out your own specialty spirit. It's gonna be delicious. We back. We back from that portal, that BOB portal. So like I said before, this conversation, I really wanted to have this because it sparked during the first time, Aaron, you and I had this conversation back when we were in college about we talk about code switching, but how people phrase it as sounding black or sounding white. I like being someone who knows, like, not just you, but like other people who don't identify with that, who feel who have felt very passionately about, like, I don't sound white, I don't sound like what the fuck does it mean to sound black, what the fuck does it mean to sound white, but like being a person who code switches and sounds the way I do, I feel like I sound white like most of the time because of where I grew up, and it was for me a survival tactic. I grew up in Fresno, Midwest of California, like I said before in the previous episodes, like in Fresno, in Clovis, even they had a parade called Big Hat Day, which was brought on by the KKK. So like yeah. There's a lot of this stuff. So I feel like for me, in order to survive, I had to sound a certain way in order to not be looked at and singled out or discriminated against. I mean, based off of the conversations that we've had thus far, I can see where that can be related to internalized racism, where that could where I could feel that link to it. But I mean, like I said, I feel like I sound white most of the time, and there are times.
Sorry. I like. How do you mean that? Do you mean like in the way your voice sounds? Like, you mean in what you're saying? Like, how do you mean that? Because if we look at any man who's like stood as the leader in our community, and he spoke with a vocabulary, he didn't say no N-words. He didn't cuss much. Like what about you is different than how like Malcolm X was speaking on the tapes?
Beautiful question. For me personally, because it's something that I hear, it's the inflection in which I'm using my words, the way my voice comes out of my mouth, it sounds like that of a white person in a different community. Obviously, like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, educated individuals, and I'm not saying relating sounding educated to sounding white, but and saying like, to sound uneducated is to sound black. It's like, to be honest, there's different accents. We talk about sounding Asian.
You're talking like this, Mike. Like, and it's like that's as white as it gets. So in my mind, see, like what you're speaking is regional. It's like you speak like
right. I mean, especially because we're American. We're American Black people. Like we're there. Especially depending on we're West Coast. We're Cali all the way. So we have the Hellas, we have the Bay Area, we have that inflection and that speak. Growing up all over California, going from LA to the Bay, hearing the different communities, like the Black community out there versus the white community out there, the Black community up here versus the white community up here, and same with Fresno. There's a stark difference. Also, as there's a difference in dialect between, how Black folks speak out here in California versus in the South. There's that twang. There's that, like, there's something different to it. But I was gonna say, I say that because we can have someone sound Asian. We're looking for an Asian sounding individual. Like when they want to get specific, Chinese. I want someone to sound Chinese. I get it when we're talking black, we want them to sound African. But what if we want them to sound like they grew up in Oakland? They want to have a Bay Area accent. That's not an accent for everybody in the Bay.
But that's a hood accent. That's not a black accent. That's a hood accent, because black people, like, here in America, like, there are nuances, and like, if you don't understand that, like, speaking like a certain type of Asian person isn't necessarily like speaking like a black person that lives in the States, then you don't understand the movie business. You don't understand the subject matter. Bye. So if you want a thuggish, black thuggish individual, then you need to describe that. Okay, like, that's a description.
Right, but we're talking black thuggish, but then
an Asian thug is gonna sound different than an Asian diplomat. Okay,
this is true.
The way they breathe the words, the way they talk is going to be different. So a black person doesn't. So when we talk about black, a lot of times we want to condense it to like the niggerish part, or like the part that's totally like us. Like, that's like, oh, that's black people, you know. But like, our culture is so intertwined. We get like I can like Chris Tucker. Do you think Chris Tucker wasn't black when he was doing that? Like, he was speaking Spanish in a lot of his scenes, or like when he's like doing stuff like jokes with Jackie. I mean, like, that culture that we have is American. Like, I think if you're saying black, like, you can mean a couple of different things. You could mean Idris Elba black.
The Game, like having somebody like The Game speaking, where they have like.
Still, he's a rapper. Like, he has a whole persona that is tied to the culture in a certain way. So like all I'm saying is that 90s persona of like how even in how we're presented as thugs, like, it doesn't even hold anymore. You know, like our biggest celebrities, our biggest like people who are in movies are like art, like, you know, like Dave Chappelle. Like, I mean, these are like elements of culture that like we aren't bound to anymore, and we don't have to prove our blackness by like speaking a certain way anymore.
Why do you think a lot of people still say it?
Right.
You guys don't sound black. You sound white. Why do people still find that a thing to say? Or even black people saying it to each other. Why you talk so white? Why you talk so proper? Why don't you talk like you black? Why don't you talk like this? Like, that is still a thing.
Categorize. It's a way to people gotta find a category, you know, for it. And there's a lot of ignorance on that. There's a lot of what we've all understood about each other for a long time. We still like throw that at each other. But if I also tell you like, well, then what does a nigga sound like? What do a black person for me real quick? And they'll be like, whoa, okay, well, I didn't mean to get all, you know, because they understand.
I didn't mean to make it racial.
That stereotype doesn't work anymore. They might be perpetuating an old view of us, but I'm gonna throw it back at them and tell me what that looks like. And now, with our current context, they understand that don't fly no more. You know, you guys just put it in the context for them.
I mean, it comes back to, you know, that idea of like, I mean, we're code switching, like, we're calling it code switching for a reason, but like, how much of what we are even labeling as sounding like thuggish or mad niggerish or whatever it is, as being related to, or hood, it's sounding hood, like relating it back to sounding black. How much of that is a label that was put on people outside of our culture to make us distance ourselves from it in order to not be part of the culture, like, as like the reasons why we're even code switching today. You know, we code switch for a reason. What do we sound like when we're not around people who we're supposed to make sure we sound proper for? You know, like, what do we sound like? We sound like black people talking to other black people. We sound comfortable. We sound more relaxed in our speech. We sound more relaxed in our conversations, in terminology that we're using, you know, whereas alternatively, we're putting on airs, putting on extra vocabulary for other cultures.
I believe that word has, or being ghetto,
right,
or it definitely was put on us, but I think we've owned it and accepted it and like kind of embodied it as a part of the culture, whereas we don't have to, we don't, it doesn't, we can expand beyond that.
Well, I'm gonna pose the other question to you, but of like, then what are we code switching for? When we're around groups of individuals that are not part of our culture, that don't understand our terminology, that wouldn't understand the cultural references and the things that we say, that would be labeled hood. We code switch for them so that we sound proper, as I said before. Whereas when we're around other Black people and people of color, where we feel more comfortable to relax our speech, to relax our vernacular, so that we don't, so so that what, like what would you deem that then? Like, obviously it's a different dialect for us, you know.
Well, I'm not going to speak to a man who doesn't understand like what I'm saying in a way like that he can't, like understand, simply because I feel some social superiority, and that might be like some type of internalized racism. I don't know, but like I'm gonna, if I need my words to be understood, I'm gonna speak them, the way that I feel that they're gonna be most effective. Like if even in teaching, if I feel like I need to have more of a dominating presence, then I'm gonna speak that way. Or if like I'm in an argument, I'm gonna speak a certain way and have a certain type of body language about me, and that's not a code. It's just like the mode I'm getting into. You can already see with my shoulders and stuff. I'm in a mode. So I do get what you're saying, that like maybe we shouldn't feel like we have to, but you're gonna speak to a man in the language that he understands, or that you understand that he understands. And white people try to do that with us. They try to code switch. They just don't work. It's just corny. Like they try, like but
Super corny.
it's not it's not accepted. So we do it because we have to, and they accept it because we're great at it. Like and that I feel like that has more to do with it. But is it a problem?
I feel like it was also something that was put on us by our elders, because our elders are always trying to be accepted by others. I've always tried to be accepted by others. If we really slide the time back, we will always notice that they always want the acceptance of white people. They always want the acceptance of others, way beyond the acceptance of their own.
Well, I think having to fight for that long and getting to where they inevitably ended up, you soften. When you're young, you do want to fight. You do want to, like, you do have pride in what you have to offer and what your culture is bringing. But I think when you get older, you have more to lose. You understand that like your children, you don't want to see them go through the same type of pain that you went through, or lose the same amount of people in their lives that you lost by doing what you did, by making that noise. So I think it's just a difference in perspective. I can't imagine that every old person like thinks that way. And that's not what you're saying, but I do understand that most like our older culture does get to this point where they've seen this rodeo so many times. They've seen Black people die on television, and we have riots and nothing gets done, and now we're having another movement and whoop-de-whoop. And maybe for them, being passive has made their life as peaceful or as enjoyable as it is. I don't know.
Yeah. And I definitely can see that, definitely. And I mean, all I'm saying is just that was something that was put on us. And that's just something that we've just come to accept and just be like, all right, that's the new normal. That's what we're supposed to do. Because I'm pretty sure we've all been in the instance where, you know, you're in mixed company, and then you see a brother over there who's really showing out and just being his authentic self, and you're like, are you really want to do that here? Like, you already know how they look at us, you know. You start to look at yourself, or you start to look at your surroundings, like, is this really the time to do that? But then you're looking at him being his authentic self, when in reality it's you that's being different.
So, beginning of my college career, I had the reverse experience where I was experimenting with marijuana, and I hadn't in high school because I had made it I had made before I made it like a thing. You remember, see, like I was super like, no, not me. I'm not doing that smoking business, you know, like, and made it like a moral obligation not to. I remember one time, I think this is like a time like Z gave me some type of edible I shouldn't have had.
Threw his dealer way under the bus.
Yeah, and like I was really fucked up. It was late at night.
Oh,
We went to Denny's, and I don't think Z was there, but I went to Denny's, and like I saw this other black dude that lived in our dorm there, and he was like really proper and stuff, like and he was all, you know, sitting with his white friends, and they were having a good time, and I'm over here like fucking just trash, like and way too fucking stoned with my friends at our table, and like I'm looking at him thinking, man, like look at the degenerate I've become, you know, like allowing myself to kind of do this and, you know, like be out here like this, you know, I need to get it together, whoop-de-whoop. And I mean, eventually I came to understand that, you know, I'm gonna get high, like
we in California, you go get high.
but like that I like kind of had this, you know, like internalized, you know, thing that when I saw this man doing, you know, what I felt like I should be doing, I was really ashamed, even though up until that point I was doing what you do at Denny's, you know, like, you know, being a good customer. That's what I was doing. Yeah, I mean, now I mean I have a different perspective, but that comes with, you know, some understanding and some acceptance.
Understanding and acceptance. Beautifully
Understanding
put.
and acceptance of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
As well as those around you. And that's something that we haven't fully grasped yet, is how to be understanding and accepting of ourselves as well as those around us.
Well, I think it's because we have so many like parts of our identities that like our people either expect of us, or, you know, like we expect it out of ourselves, you know, like everybody got to be woke, you know, everybody got to be you know, able to code switch, but able to be like a nigga when it's time. Everybody gotta, you know, and you like with this amount of in-depth education, not everybody gets that, especially when you live in a region like Fresno. So full circle, a lot of that stuff is where you come from, okay? And if the people you come from a certain culture, then you might be like a bit more versed in that culture. But everybody in your life has always treated you the way you look. So you can talk white if you want. You won't look like you white talking. You know, they're not going to accept you as a white man speaking those words. So like, why not own them as a black man? Because it's a black man that has to you know, like live with those words, you know, live with how they come out. So
you reminded me of a video I saw of a black man surrounded by a bunch of white men, and he was defending the Confederate flag.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Yes.
See, you were about to say something, and then you really thought about it. He's like, wait, what? Yes, defending the Confederate flag. He's talking about, this is my heritage, and if you guys don't like it, y'all can get out of here. This is our heritage. It was literally Clayton Bigsby come to life.
So I'm Clayton Bigsby right now? I'm
Not you.
Oh, okay.
There was a black dude. There's a video of a black dude who was defending the Confederate flag amongst white people. And then that made me think, it was like, Is he doing that because he truly believes it, or is he doing that because that's the surrounding he lives in and he's trying to survive?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I think it's a
ooh,
little bit of both because context definitely matters. If you don't mind, Z, I don't mean to cut you off. Correct me if I'm wrong, Z. Please jump in, please. Um, I want to say he was like raised by white people. So to be honest with you, sounds like it's a mix of both. But at one point in your life, do you like, okay, this is how I was raised, but my true roots and true history and ancestry is this. Especially when Google and the internet is still free.
ooh, very much so. Actually, it's interesting that you say that because the reasoning behind us code switching has always been for the necessity of acceptance, for the necessity of being able to acquire a position, um, date somebody, you know,
Survive.
survive. Whereas, you know, even this young man who is sitting there defending the Confederate flag, like, brother, he's the only nigga in a house full of white, good old boys that defend the Confederate flag, that defend racism, that defend slavery. What do you think is going to happen in that house if the only person of color speaks up in there? Probably some things that happened back in the past will going to rear their ugly heads again. And like, even me, even if I was in a family like that, like, because I was in an aggressive family and I was always like, I'm not that aggressive. I don't know what that's like. Like, it's stupid. Like, I like, that's unnecessary. I don't feel like I need to be that aggressive. And like, if I spoke out about it, I was like, oh, it was met with aggression. So I was like, maybe not. So like, if, you know, if I was in that situation and like I had that around me, I would want to survive, you know? So like, whereas we can fault this young man and you know, shame him for you know, saying what he said and doing what he's doing, because you know, we all know that's wrong, and I'm pretty sure so does he. Pretty sure he knows it's just as wrong as it is, but it's a necessity for him, just like us code switching, just like anybody code switching, like any minority group that needs to code switch, you know. Actually, if I may bring it back to our colorism episode where we talk about light skin versus dark skin, the reason why Zor was why her dad never taught her Tagalog or taught her any other Filipino languages was because he didn't want her to develop an accent. He didn't want her to sound Filipino with American, with like, you know, he didn't want her to speak English with a Filipino accent. Like, he wanted her to be able to pass as another American that sounds like purely American. That sounds, I
I
mean,
guess
what?
you didn't know that the kids, when they learn young, they do they do, they
Yep.
can do that. But okay, yeah, I think that's just old. But that's an old mentality. That's an old, like,
Right. Brings it back to
antiquated,
what
you know.
Omega said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They fear it.
Beautiful. All right. It's about that time again. Thank you
Pray for me,
guys.
y'all.
Absolutely. No. Thank you. Thank you, each and every one of you guys. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Omega. Thank you, Richard, for each, you know, opening up and sharing your hearts today. Because I mean, the cocktail of conversations that we flowed through today was really deep, really emotional, triggering for some, and like even this conversation of code switching and sounding black, sounding white, that whole like, it's, you know, it brings a fire, brings a passion, it sparks things in people, you know, and so listeners at home, I appreciate y'all.
Shouts out to our Patreon. We appreciate you guys also very much for your patronage, as well as please make sure you guys jump into the Discord and drop a comment, have a great conversation, because we're always looking to have some great ones with you guys. Also, I would like to say, give us some feedback. Let us know, how was that bonus episode? How'd you guys like it? How will you guys like it? Would you guys like more? If you guys would like to, we would love to do a part 2 of our woke episode so we could talk more about that, because now we've all caught up and we'd love to talk about that. And if you guys have any other show suggestions, let's check that out. By the way, speaking of, the new movie Antebellum is out.
Okay.
Good.
And
I want to go see it, but
I want us to see it. If we do see it, I think that should be another one that we should talk about. I don't know how y'all feel about horror films or scary movies or whatever, but let's do it. I know Richard's like, nah, not about
not
that.
Not a fan, but y'all enjoy it though.
Well, just watch the trailer first and see if you're not a fan. Just check it out first, because Get Out was supposed to be a scary movie. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, it was scary for us. So
facts.
And actually, to our listeners at home, again, I thank you guys for listening to these hard conversations that we have. I want to pose a question to you guys. What is your take on code switching? Have you ever had to code switch? Have you ever recognized code switching within someone else? And just, feel free to share your experiences on our Discord, like Omega mentioned before. And if you want to try reaching out to us on Twitter or Instagram, our handle is Have a Drink Cast, or you can check us out on the hashtag HADcast. Make sure to use that in all your posts so that we can find your beautiful posts and words and pictures if you decide to add pictures of us during the show. Yes.
And I would also like to give a special shout out to my cousin Erica. She was supposed to be on here, but I do want to let y'all know that she actually just got her NRA certification as a pistol instructor for self-defense. And she is going to be starting to do private sessions with people with a focus in self-defense. And she really wants to do it for women. So I'm just putting it out there. She wants to help the women become more knowledgeable about weapons and how to protect themselves. So I just want to give that shout out right there to her, to Erica. I'm so proud of you, cousin. I love you with everything, and congratulations, and keep that going.
Absolutely.
Second Amendment.
Absolutely. And this conversation, albeit all over the place, is not done. I feel like there are more perspectives, more things that we can talk about surrounding it, and I look forward to doing that. But on that note, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen listening at home, and also all those in between, I raise a glass. I want to thank y'all for another successful episode of the Have a Drink podcast, and I invite you all back to sit, think, and have a drink. It's been us. Peace.
yeah.
Peace. Yo,